5 years with what I know.
Well,
I mean,
and I understand that, okay. But I think that there's more.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin and this is Just Thought Lounge. JTL is the true crime channel that delivers serious, well-balanced coverage of the cases that really make you think. The case we're about to look at centers around a young couple in love. In the summer of 2013, Cody Johnson and Jordan Linn Graham were celebrating their wedding with friends, family, and their church. What should have been amongst the happiest times of their lives, however, turned bleak only a week later when Cody, usually very reliable, failed to show up to work on Monday morning. He had not been seen since the night before. Friends and family feared the worst. It was not a lengthy search to find Cody, only a few days. But this short period was confused, riddled with suspicions, contradictory stories, and many unanswered questions. Central among these asked, why was Jordan Graham, the blushing young bride, being caught in so many lies? Let's take a look. Kalispell, Montana is in the northwest of the state and serves as a kind of gateway to Glacier National Park. The area is characterized by mountainous peaks, alpine trails, sparkling lakes, and plenty of wildlife. It was in this picturesque setting that a young, seemingly well-intentioned couple met and began dating in autumn of 2011. Cody Johnson, a 23-year-old self-professed car fanatic, had told friends that he wanted nothing more than to meet a good church girl, marry, and have a family. The stars seemed to align for Cody when, in October, after leaving church on a Sunday night, he laid eyes on 19-year-old Jordan Linn Graham. Jordan was everything that Cody had hoped to find in a future wife, and he quickly fell head over heels. According to friends, Jordan was far more reserved and socially introverted compared to the popular, talkative, and outgoing Cody. It made for a stark contrast. But as the relationship progressed, gracious friends of theirs remarked that the two made for a balanced pair. The difference in their personalities complemented each other. To many others close to Cody, however, it was just an odd match. One in which Cody appeared to be love-struck, while Jordan seemed, at times, simply indifferent. Despite this, Jordan's stated intentions were clear. She told a close friend that all she wanted was to meet a nice guy, get married. I want to be a stay-at-home mom and just have my family. Cody was working for Nomad Global Communication Services, an IT services company. After a short time, he had saved up enough money for an engagement ring. He proposed in December 2012, Jordan joyfully accepted, and they set their wedding date for late June of the next year.
When Cody told me that he was going to propose to Jordan, I wasn't real supportive of it because I didn't feel like they had a strong relationship. He said basically this is what he wanted to do. He wanted our support, but I did have conversation with him saying that I think he should, reconsider.
The wedding was held at Woodland Park in Kalispell and well attended by extended family, friends, and their church community. At 21 years old, Jordan was taking the plunge into a new life, and emotions were running high. Wedding guests reported that Jordan sobbed her way down the aisle. At the reception, Kimberly Martinez, the maid of honor, toasted the new couple. The best thing possible happened, and I'm so happy for you two.
I really got to know her, and I'm just amazed at the person she is.
Jordan had arranged for a songwriter in California to write a special song for her husband. It played for their first dance as a married couple. The newlyweds had a day-long honeymoon break in Big Fork, only about half an hour's drive from Kalispell. They returned to their regular working lives on the Monday. Cody was back at Nomad, and Jordan to her work as a babysitter. The young couple were formally starting their lives together, and maybe a family. 1 week later, the 8th of July, Cody's supervisor and friend, Cameron Fredrickson, was at work Monday morning and becoming increasingly worried. Cody had not yet arrived, and he was not typically late or out of contact. Cameron texted Cody at about 8:30 a.m. that morning, but received no response. 2 hours later, he phoned, but was connected directly to Cody's voicemail. Over lunch, he began calling around to see if any other friends had heard from Cody, but no one had. Then, at 4:30 that afternoon, Cameron received a text from Jordan that left him truly worried. She messaged to ask him if Cody had made it into work that morning. A similar message was received from Jordan to Cody's mother, Sherry, but she hadn't heard from Cody that morning either. Family members had been contacted, and concerns were spreading. Surely his wife would know where to look for him, but Jordan had no idea. She told Cameron that she and Cody had fought the night before. Afterwards, Cody had needed to blow off some steam and he had left. She messaged that some out-of-town car friends came and picked him up. I was not there, but the last thing I heard was he was going to go for a ride with his buddies from out of town. Upon hearing this, Cameron set out to track down Cody. He checked all of the surrounding hospitals in case his friend had been out joyriding and gotten into a wreck. As word spread, friends and family members of Cody's began to congregate at his home with Jordan. Kalispell police were contacted, and Cody was formally reported missing. At their home later that day, Jordan explained to her younger brother and two of Cody's closest friends that she had discovered his cell phone and his car keys had been left in their garage when he had abruptly left with his friends on Sunday evening. Jordan had observed them pull out of the drive and had heard nothing from him since. In the days after Cody's disappearance, Cameron Fredrickson broke into Cody and Jordan's house. The back door had been left unlocked. He was desperate to find any clue as to what had happened to his friend, and he did not trust his friend's new wife. He had never believed that the marriage would work out, but now he feared something much worse than divorce.
She actually changed her story and stated that she was at the house when Cody left, and that she saw him leave in a dark-colored car. So between the 2 days, two completely different stories. And at that time, that's when I became suspicious and then actually went to the authorities.
He searched around their things. He searched for blood, a weapon, perhaps even a body, but turned up nothing. Less than 2 weeks after her wedding day, Jordan Graham sat down with Kalispell police to discuss her missing husband. She told Detective Zimmerman that on Sunday evening, the couple had been out with church friends for dinner. She said they had not been fighting, but that he did want to leave with friends that were in town visiting. They left on a joyride, and she suggested a few locations where they may have gone, including Hungry Horse Dam or perhaps Glacier National Park.
What's going on as far as where he might have gone or who he might be with?
Well, I got a message saying that he was going to go for a ride with some of his out-of-town buddies that were visiting. But he always told me this one thing is, when his friends came to visit, he would take them to Glacier Park, Plains, or the Hungry Horse Dam.
Although Jordan's recollection of the last time she had seen her husband was relatively straightforward, it nonetheless contradicted versions of the story that she had told friends over the previous 2 days. In one version, she and Cody had been fighting and she witnessed him leave. But in another, no fight had taken place and she was not even present when he was picked up. In still another version of events, Jordan told a friend that she had in fact followed the dark mystery vehicle with Cody inside and tracked them to Hungry Horse Reservoir, where she had unfortunately lost track of them and returned home.
Other information that I've already gathered, okay? And I've spoke to a few people, and it's important that I know that you're telling me the truth on things.
What I know.
Well,
I mean,
and I understand that, okay? But I think that there's more.
Jordan further offered that on that evening, Cody had received a call on his cell phone that had made him quite upset. She guessed based on his response that the call must have been from a friend of his called Jose, who apparently owed him quite a bit of money.
I don't know anything more.
Kalispell Police Detective Zimmerman promptly tracked down Cody's buddy, Jose, and eliminated him as a suspect. Meanwhile, a Detective Clark, who had also taken part in Jordan's interview, was out walking his dog. Clark was a neighbor of the newlyweds, and his route often took him past their house. He was walking past when he reportedly noticed something odd in the trash can sitting outside. He subsequently took the full can back to his garage and dumped out the contents. What he found was unsettling. Love letters, teddy bears, valentines, and parts of a wedding dress spilled out onto the floor. The wedding shawl that Jordan had worn to marry Cody only days before also spilled out with the rest of the rubbish. Clark took photos of the contents and then packed it all back up and dragged it back to where he had found it. The next day, July 10th, Jordan visited a friend and told her about an email she had received the night before. It had been sent by a friend of Cody's, a friend named Tony. This car buddy of her husband wrote, "There is no bother in looking for Cody anymore. He is gone." He wrote that Cody got out of the car and went for a little hike, and they, her husband's other out-of-town friends, are positive he fell and he is dead, Jordan. I don't know who the guys were, but they took off. So call off the missing person report. Cody is gone for sure. To a different friend, Jordan claimed that this email stated generally that if the authorities were no longer involved, Cody would return home. After prompting, Jordan was convinced to bring a copy of this email to the police. She arrived at the station with her mother for support. In response to the email, the detective said, "It's a bit sketchy."
I got an email this morning from some guy, all it said was Tony.
Seems kind of sketchy.
Yeah. Made a call or something. I don't know if he made a call, he was in the garage. And I got a text saying he was going and he left. I just want to go.
No, sweetie, we're just trying to cover all grounds.
After speaking with the police, Jordan turned proactive. She gathered friends and family members, her maid of honor Kimberly, Cody's good friend Hannah, her little brother and his mother Sherry, along with others, and they formed a search party. Choosing Glacier National Park as the location of interest, Jordan explained that she just had a feeling that Cody had gone there. They arrived at an area called the Loop, an extremely steep, narrow, and rocky hiking trail that overlooked a 300-foot drop and offered a spectacular view. A few of the participants felt too unsafe to navigate the area, including Sherry, who stayed behind handing out missing persons posters to park visitors. Jordan and her brother hiked the area. Over 2 days, the groups wandered the park looking for any signs of Cody. Then on day 2, climbing down the steep slope from the road and onto a cliff, Jordan looked down towards a stream hundreds of feet below. She called to her brother, "It's him!" She had, miraculously, within the 1 million acres of land that make up Glacier National Park, discovered her husband's body. Cody was recovered by park rangers who climbed down to his location with the assistance of climbing ropes and gear. A specially commissioned helicopter lifted him from the area. Cody had been face down in a stream with an 8-inch skull fracture to his forehead. His positioning suggested that he had fallen face first from the cliff above, the same one on which his new wife had stood and peered over to find him 4 days later. There was one strange item found with him, and 1 or 2 notably missing. Less than 100 yards upstream was a strip of black cloth. This cloth was in closer proximity to his body than one of his shoes, which was located 150 yards downstream from his position. No car keys were found with Cody's body, nor was his wedding ring. Jordan had known that she was likely to find her husband in that location. She told park rangers that he always said he liked to go off trails and wanted to make his own off-the-beaten path. When someone visited, he would want to take them on crazy roads or crazy hikes. He would often try to find trails on his own, be it in an off-road car or on foot. But what of her fortuitous intuition that led directly to that exact peak on the loop? She told the ranger it was somewhere he wanted to see before he died. This statement was not ominous enough. Friends and family felt chills upon hearing this explanation. The story just did not make sense. Everyone who knew Cody knew that he was deathly scared of heights. Suspicions towards Jordan only deepened at Cody's funeral. There's no playbook for grief, but no one expected to see the young widow cheerful or chatty or openly texting on her phone throughout the service. To almost everyone who observed her behavior, the wife of 9 days did not appear to be grieving.
She's the widow, and she's up front texting her little friend that she's sitting next to, and her mom and dad are in tears. I was upset about Cody's funeral, but I was furious at her. I couldn't even think about anything else but what was going on with her.
Kimberly was shocked by her friend's behavior, but even worse, she believed that more had gone down leading up to Cody's death than Jordan was letting on. Jordan's text messages to her maid of honor only days after the wedding showed a marriage already at risk of falling apart. She wrote, "I cannot freaking pull myself together. I haven't stopped crying since I was there," meaning at her wedding. "I wish someone would have just straight up asked me if this is what I wanted. I can't go back and change anything. I should be happy, and I'm just not." Then she revealed the central reason for her unhappiness. After attending a baseball game, she wrote to Kimberly, "Still not sure about going home after. I just know he's gonna wanna do stuff, and I'm really not wanting to." Kimberly said that she understood that the stuff that Jordan was texting about was a reference to consummating the marriage. Jordan told her friend that she planned to confront Cody with her feelings and suggest that they get an annulment. Her last message that day read, "Oh well, I'm about to talk to him. He gets a temper fast, so I'll be freaking out. But dead serious, if you don't hear from me at all again tonight, something happened." After Cody was airlifted from the park, Jordan was invited to the police station once more. When she walked in, she expected to speak with the same police detectives that had conducted her previous interviews. Instead, she was met with the FBI. Glacier National Park is in federal jurisdiction, and the suspicious nature of Cody's death had sparked a full-scale investigation. Jordan initially reiterated a version of the same story that she had previously told local detectives. In the time between her first and third visit, however, investigators had an opportunity to check her story. At 9:17 p.m. on that Sunday night, July 7th, a surveillance camera at the entrance to Glacier National Park photographed Jordan and Cody entering the park in Cody's dark blue Audi. A higher resolution copy of this photo clearly depicted the two inside of the car. Upon being presented with this photo, her story yet again changed. They were fighting at home when the two jointly decided to take a walk in Glacier Park despite the darkness and the treacherous hiking trail. They parked at the loop and continued their dispute as they walked out into the park.
I didn't want to do that trail because I was afraid he could have fallen. He said I could do this with a blindfold on, and he said I could just put it on, take a step, and I wouldn't even fall. And it kept going through my head that, you are going to fall.
She described the argument as they walked along a trail which led to a very dangerous cliff, where they paused and continued arguing.
I'm feeling, should have we waited a little bit longer and then got married? I wasn't feeling like it's on cloud nine. And then we were arguing some more. He was to grab my arm or my jacket, and I said, no, I'm going to defend myself. So I kind of let go and I pushed, and he went over.
There was no planning on your part to kill Cody?
No.
Okay. You hadn't planned that until this whole thing just kind of happened in the heat of the emotion and the passion of that situation.
Cody's fall from the cliff had been a horrible accident. In one fluid motion, he had grabbed at Jordan's arm, at which point she had turned and pushed him. Somehow, according to her admission, she managed to push him with both hands on his back over the cliff.
So he would have fallen face first down the hill. Why did you continue to turn around and then push him off?
I think it's because emotions were running so high. I was frustrated, I was angry, I was every emotion I could ever think of, all at once. And I've never felt like that before. I've never experienced that.
After seeing him fall, she did not call for help. She went back to her vehicle and sent a series of text messages to a 17-year-old friend. They discussed dance moves at the wedding. She messaged Kimberly vague and distressed messages, but she did not mention what had occurred. The FBI did not buy into Jordan's new narrative. On the morning of July 10th, only a few days after the fatal trail hike, someone at Jordan's parents' house logged into the email account that sent the mystery message from Tony, the out-of-town, unknown friend of Cody's. Investigators subsequently traced the email to Jordan via the IP address at her parents' home. With this discovery was further proof that Jordan had intentionally sought to divert the investigation into her husband's disappearance. The FBI believed this was an extremely poorly executed attempt to cover up the murder of her husband. In December 2013, at 22 years old, Jordan Graham faced trial for first-degree murder.
Prosecutors originally charged Montana newlywed Jordan Graham with second-degree murder for pushing her husband, Cody Johnson, off this cliff in Glacier National Park. But now a grand jury has added a charge of premeditated first-degree murder, which carries a minimum sentence of life in prison.
Jordan's defense was that she pushed Cody during the argument, but insisted it was self-defense. She also claimed no premeditation. It happened in the heat of the moment. Her defense team painted the young bride as naive, socially awkward, overly religious, and sheltered. She was overwhelmed with the expectations of marriage, but she did not intend to harm her husband. Jordan had further laid the foundation of a defense in her messages to Kimberly in the days leading up to the murder by noting Cody's supposed temper. Despite no physical evidence that Cody had ever been abusive towards her, Jordan claimed this was the case. She attempted to paint him as controlling, and she feared him touching her. The prosecution disputed Jordan's claims. Furthermore, they layered on a case that Jordan had planned the murder, staged as a kind of special surprise for her husband. They pointed first to the ominous text messages sent to her friend Kimberly, which suggests that she wanted out of the marriage and was building up to the confrontation throughout that week. The black piece of cloth found just downstream of his body was likely used as a blindfold. In this theory, Cody was blindfolded by the cloth, led to the ledge of the cliff by the woman he had just married, and then pushed off of it. Bizarrely, Jordan herself had introduced the blindfold in her interview with the police, when she told them that Cody bragged to her about being capable of navigating the narrow path on the steep cliff blindfolded. This suggestion provided an explanation for the piece of black cloth found near to Cody's body. In chilling testimony that was closed to the public, 3 witnesses, a family member and 2 friends, told the jury that they had spoken with Cody about plans for that weekend. He had told each of them that he was unavailable that Sunday because his new wife had planned a special surprise for him.
Eddie Cologne said he saw his friend Cody Johnson the day he died and asked him to go golfing. Johnson said he couldn't because Jordan said she has a surprise for me. 3 witnesses testified the same thing, including Stephen Rutledge, Graham's own stepfather, who said his new son-in-law also mentioned the surprise to him.
After 4 days of testimony, closing arguments were set to commence. But at this stage, the trial was cut short. Jordan had decided to accept a plea deal, and she admitted to second-degree murder. Judge Malloy was reportedly taken aback by the decision. He asked if she comprehended what she was doing. In the next 15 minutes, you may be committing yourself to prison for the balance of your life. Jordan responded with one word: guilty. In her confession to the court, she continued to insist that it was all an accident. She had lost track of her surroundings and, not thinking, she pushed Cody in anger, sending him off the cliff.
What are your hopes for going into the court hearing today?
I want her to go to prison for the rest of her life. Cody was one of my best friends. He helped me build all my cars, and having one of your best friends get killed by someone that we all thought cared about him.
What do you think of Jordan as a person? You guys obviously knew her, so that's
She's a little off.
She never really came around. I know they said before that she was sad at the funeral and all that, but I went up and I was talking at the funeral and she was straight-faced and I saw her texting.
On her phone the whole time and everything.
The sentence was 30 years in prison with no possibility of early parole.
The sentence today is going to send a message that if you kill someone and are subject to federal jurisdiction, you will be prosecuted swiftly and severely punished for your crime.
Jordan appealed her 30-year sentence, arguing, amongst other things, that her plea deal meant that she should have received greater leniency for the term of her incarceration. In February 2016, her appeal process came to an end, with the final court upholding the original sentencing decision. Jordan is currently serving her sentence in a federal prison in Alabama.
Why did she do it? If she didn't love him, why did she get married? Why did she say yes to the proposal? That's still the question in my mind to this day, is why.
And that was the sad story of Cody Johnson and the case against his new bride, Jordan Linn Graham. Thanks for watching. I'm Kevin. This is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.